Okay, so this is part B or of class exercise number 6, the second one with it. So I explained to you what you just basically the big picture from the old file with it as well. This is the so we talked about all of this, and I asked you to create two subdirectories that you would actually need to put underneath the source directory. Make sure you have that here with it. Here's one of them, and the other one is the helper one with it as well. And I'm going to talk to you about what goes inside of these things. I already have the files in there with you for you with it. So what I need for you to understand is this. I'm about to go over the big picture for the class exercise number 7 with it. You're going to complete about, let's see, 1, 2, anything that's JS you're going to complete with it. So home.js, footer.js, multi-list, menu list.js, about us.js, contact.js, and the other one is the menu list for me with it as well. So there are about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 files here. 6 out of the 10 files you're going to complete anything with the CSS I provide for you. So you should be able to understand how to bring in external CSS with it as well. All right. So again, after you complete these 6 files, we're going to tweak some of the app.js index. If there's nothing much to do, the index.html, but the app.js and anything with the JS files that you're going to pull in, you're going to actually have to talk to, like a menu item needs to talk with menu list with it as well. Okay, so they need to collaborate and talk to each other with it. So that's very important. I also want to point this out too as well. If you're compiling and for some reason it gets you a message that you need to update your compiler with it, so you need to, in the command line or the terminal, is to install the npx this command with the browser list at the latest space -- update -db. This will update your browser with the proper code to actually run your code with it as well. So that's the second point I want to bring into with it. So again, 6 out of 10 files you're complete. The other piece is I want to talk about debugging with it. I don't know. A lot of you are sending me a lot of different type of. Here's the thing about my class. If you went in and you fast forward my videos and you decide just code whatever you code with it, you're big mistake with it as well. You need to be able to go in and understand each of the line of the codes and how the code works with it as well, because that's what my test question is over. If you know how to link all these files together with it as well. The other thing is, let me start out with the first one. These are just over the years that I find out what people are doing and they're not doing it right with it. I send you, if you're planning to download a zip file, you need to be able to unzip it. Zipping and compression are basic computer skills that I expect you to know for Web 2 with it. So you need to download a zip file, you need to extract it. You right mouse click on it, choose extract file, and you tell it where to extract with it, right? I had several instances that people are working inside of a zip file that they have not extracted with it. So like I said, I found out later on that they never extracted the file. So it doesn't work like that. The second thing is that if you're having a lot of the developer server errors, giving you a lot of errors with it, you need to open up the program. Remember how we did the my app, the hello world? Run that. Make sure your development server is running fine. If you can actually open up your hello world in your development server, then you got it made. The third is so make sure I do this a lot. I speak faster than I type. Make sure you are working in an open file properly with it. So that's from the uncompressed issue with it. Number 4, know how to comment out the code. If it's HTML, you put the lesser than angle bracket, the left angle bracket, explanation -- and the closing of that's -- right angle bracket. Well, you just hide the code is my point. If it's a Java, if it's a JavaScript XML, do the same thing. / asterisk asterisk / with it. That would actually hide the block of code. That's what I want you to do. don't delete the code. I mean, you type all that work that you put in, so that code is still there. It's still good with it. And lastly, just a lot of syntax errors at this time with it. So, make sure your left and your right curly brackets, parentheses there, your left and right parentheses, if you indent in and just looking at it, all right, if I see a squiggly line underneath a font or a word, it's not picking it up with it. So that's what the IDE is for, is to pick up syntax errors with it. And if you're coming in and you're just typing in, just throwing in stuff in there, and you expect me to debug it, that's not the case. All right, I can tell you it's a syntax error at this time. All right, so make sure your parentheses and you're closing your parentheses and misspelling of the words and all that stuff is so crucial. The way how you code with it. It is case sensitive. Remember that. Calling a variable uppercase and a lowercase it's two different variables with it. So case sensitivity with it. Know where to begin. Beginning of the function and the ending of this function with it as well. I talked to you about identifiers with it. At this stage right now, a lot of you don't have to worry about identifiers with it, but I want you to know identifiers are constants, variables, and functions. Constants, variables, and functions. What does that mean? Let's just put here reserve words. You don't have to worry about this right now, but you don't and you cannot name a function with reserved words. What does that mean? Well, for example, if the reserved word JavaScript XML is function, I can't do this. Function, I can't do this. All right? This is not going to work. All right? And closing this out with it. And inside of this thing, there's another reserved word called return. Right? These are all types of things that you can't do. This is a totally messed up function because this is a reserved word. Return is a reserved word. I can't even call it return function or function return with it. I can't use a reserved word in place of an identifier. Remember now, I said in my earlier video, identifiers are made up of what? Functions, constants, and variables. These are what's considered our identifier. All right, an identifier are made up of these three things with it. So that's part of programming that you got to learn. It's across the board. The syntax, you have to go in and find what the syntax is for every one of them. But as a general sense, just know what an identifier is. It's a function, constants, and variable. And you can't. That's the reason why you can't name things the way how they were named with it as well. Okay. That's it. The next video, we're going to start to code the next part right here in a second here.